All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 8, SportsBook Sports, all things sports betting. I'm your host, Connor. We're here with my boy, GA.
What's going on, everyone?
Today's episode, we're diving into NBA playoff picks, discuss and recap our picks from last episode, which was about a week ago today. Had some things going on in the last week. Greg was at a bachelor's party turning up.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, podcast, we didn't really take a break, just a little bit of a slide there as we had some things going on in life, and we didn't want to put content out as much as we'd like to, but...
Yeah, we were still watching everything, obviously. We're sports guys, so... Yeah. Last episode, we kind of talked a little hockey a little bit, so we watched that game, obviously. Yeah. And then I know I've been watching the last basketball games. I mean, we only have a few left at this point. Yeah. So I've been watching all of them, keeping track.
Yeah, they're easy
It's been some pretty good games. I mean,
a lot of crazy shit going on.
Suns series was pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they look strong. I mean, we've talked really about all the teams at this point now.
Yeah.
A few injuries in Brooklyn, so...
Injuries all over the place right now.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, Kawhi is going to be out tonight. Yeah. Who knows what's really going on with him? Joel Embiid's got a slight tear in his meniscus. Kyrie, James Harden.
Chris Paul, COVID protocols.
Yeah, I mean, they had that. And a lot of people don't like when LeBron James is like sort of like flat out making excuses. Yeah. And I don't think they were...
management, all that stuff.
Yeah, but he sent out a tweet today, and... Not that I agree with what people are saying, because like I said, they're saying he's making excuses that they lost in the first round because AD was out. But I do agree on the fact that the break from last year's season to this year's season has caused... You can't tell me there's not a correlation to the injuries that are going on this year. It's just... They play a crazy amount of games. Last year they set them up in the bubble, and then they... had to get the deadline in by the Christmas day so they could have those games going off. Yep. And, I mean, I think those injuries are just a proven fact of why the summer is so big for those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and just the whole rest and recovery thing. Like, I understand why Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Anthony Davis are on these minute restrictions and coming in and out of injuries, but then also just like throughout the season.
Yep, especially this year.
Yeah, of course this year because of all the shortened season, the extended season last year into the shortened season. Yeah. You know, do we really need to play 72 games this year, or should it have been even shorter? Yeah. You know.
And I think there should be
at this.
The way I'm thinking of it is they need to restructure the schedule itself, because I don't necessarily believe in load management itself, because these guys get paid millions of dollars a year. Yeah. They should show up on every given night if there isn't something actually wrong. Like if they're sick, like any worker deserves a sick day. Yeah. If they're injured, obviously they shouldn't play, but if they're just like, and even, I guess, coming back from injury, that's another story as well, because they need to build themselves back up. But if they're 100% in their right state of mind and in the right state physically, they should be out there playing, because people are paying to come see them play.
Yeah, you know? And like all this year, I had Kyrie in like fantasy basketball, so all this year it was like pretty well known like he's not going to play back-to-backs. Yeah. And he missed a ton of games, and it still caught up with him. Yeah. I mean, you know, some of these guys, it's just... The way the game is played at this point, how physical it is, not just from pushing and shoving, like contact, but also just the demand of getting up and down the court, how fast these guys are, how big these guys are, night in and night out. It's demanding on them.
Yeah, I think with Kyrie, I mean, I don't like to get involved too deep in that, but I think it was a little bit of karma on his end, because whether he believes in it. There we go. A little technical difficulty there for a second. But not to like get too deep into it, but I think Kyrie puts it on himself a little bit because of the way he handles situations. Yeah. Not if it's right or wrong, the reasons he's missing games. Yeah. But necessarily like how he goes about it. Yeah. Like all of a sudden, if you have him in fantasy, you're just like, this is a terrible pick for this year. Yeah. Because this dude just is like, I'm going to celebrate my family's birthday,
and I'm out for three
games. Yeah. Like that just doesn't even make sense. Yeah. Like, you have a job to do.
He's on, like, Zoom calls with, like, government officials, like, local politics.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what are you doing?
And he was at a nightclub with, like, Drake and shit for that. It's like, dude, go to fucking work.
Yeah.
Make M's. Or at least, like, put this out, like, plan this ahead.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
before,
give me 30 days advance, like you have to do in a real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to move into it, I guess the picks from we can dive right into our picks from last episode.
Sure. Let's give it a look.
I know you had a killer night.
I had a monster day.
I was dying after the game because you were like, "Are we going to be a full blown hockey podcast now?"
Yeah, we
went 3-0.
Yeah, we're 3-0, 1-0 on hockey games so far because we were both on the Islanders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Islanders game was unreal just watching it. I mean, the Islanders hit the over themselves. They had 6 goals.
Yeah. You had a -1.5, 2 plus 325. I mean, that's fucking juicy.
I'm kicking myself that I didn't throw a half a unit on like -2.5 because that would have been
plus
600, 700.
Exactly. But obviously we've been focusing on the NBA playoffs since we started this podcast. But as that dies down, you'll definitely see us dive into the MLB, NHL.
Yeah, we've been talking just off air about baseball picks and a couple things that we're liking and stuff. So we'll definitely start diving into that.
Yeah, so you'll start to see our key matchups of the day. Right now, the NBA is good because there's a select number of games, and we like to discuss each matchup a little bit more in depth and give like our takes on it.
Right, but now that we're getting down to the conference finals and the championship, you know, we're gonna have to. We'll keep talking. I mean, we're year-round the sports gamblers, so I mean, I was even gonna ask you today. I didn't get a chance to. If you want to throw a golf pick out there, because we got the U.S. Open coming up this weekend.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna. Maybe we can discuss that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking at some. I mean,
I think it starts tomorrow. I think it tips off.
Oh, it tees off tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, you're right. You're right. Yep.
But yeah,
that'll be some
odds right now. But that's the type of stuff we'll start looking at. We'll look, we'll start looking at more. Like I know you for during the pandemic when UFC started back up, you were like all over.
Oh UFC I was killing it in UFC in the beginning.
Yeah. And just as that stuff keeps happening, we'll keep bringing it up. I mean, if I'm gonna bet anything,
I'd be betting esports too.
Yeah, esports. Yeah,
I was killing that during the pandemic.
Yeah, you had that down, so that was like a live betting thing too. So we'll talk about that type of stuff with like live betting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we're year round, so we pick up a lot. At least I do, units wise, during football season.
Yeah, football.
Because I've been watching that year in and year out.
Yep.
I follow it year round, college and NFL.
Yep.
So college, I kind of ease into it a little bit more, just because I don't know so much about the new recruits that they have, new coaches and stuff. Mm-hmm. But NHL, we're gonna start, or NFL, we're gonna start talking about preseason. We're gonna start giving out
preseason, some easy money,
division winners,
futures, all that
stuff, because we follow football year round. So.
But yeah, on those picks the other nights, you also had Chris Paul to score 15 plus and the Suns to win. That also cashed.
Yep.
So you had a 3-0 night. I ended up going 1-2. I had the Nuggets to cover that night. They got absolutely fucking obliterated.
Yep.
And I had Monte Morris to score 12.5, and he put up 3 points.
Yep.
He was an embarrassment. My picks were terrible. 1-2. Islanders was a blowout winner, though, so maybe for the viewers out there, you just took that game.
Yeah.
That's what I'd hope, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I was plus 505 on the night off 3 picks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was happy with that.
Fucking
all
right.
Mine were plus money.
Yep.
So, all underdogs and all winners. So, I mean, if you could do that every night, you'd be rich. It's obviously not going to happen every night.
You'd be filthy rich.
But that's the point of, again, just, I mean, I might bring it up every episode at this point, but that's just the point of finding a unit, sticking with a unit, and just betting it consistently. Because you'll have nights tonight like where you're up $500, and you'll have nights where you lose $300. You'll have back-to-back nights where you lose $300.
Yeah, so. And that's just, and that all comes down to like how much you have to lose, like, putting together a bankroll before you even decide to start like getting full-fledged into making it a strict process that you're working with, instead of just like betting a whole bunch of games at one time and thinking you're gonna get rich in one day. If you do it that way, you might as well just like hand your money off and just not even bet and just watch
put
the
it in a
games.
savings account and keep it.
Exactly.
Because it's not like I mean, this was I think last Wednesday when we did our last episode. So it's not like I turned around Thursday and started betting 300 on games. Or I bet 6 different games. Like you just keep it consistent. Like we said early on, we kind of did too much. We scaled it back. and now we're trying to focus on 1 or 2 games a night.
Yep.
Give out our best picks and.
Yeah, and actually, since this last episode, I haven't even bet a sports game.
Yeah. I've
just been following. I did hit the casino on Saturday, played some other games, but I didn't even bet sports just because I didn't really have the time to fully do the research that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not just, as I mentioned, I'm just not going to throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks at that point.
Yep.
I'm going to try to make some educated guesses.
Okay. Well, let's look at some educated guesses because we got 2 games tonight.
Yep.
So let's talk about the first one. The early game is Philadelphia, Atlanta. It's 2-2 right now. Game's at 7:30 on TNT.
Mm-hmm.
It's all tied up. 76ers are favorites. They're 7.5-point favorites. The over-under is 224.5.
Yep.
Again, everything that we look at is from FanDuel. So these are the lines as of
FanDuel SportsBook.
Afternoon. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this series is just, I really don't know what's going on with it as far as from a last game.
Yeah.
I mean, game 2 and 3, you watch it, the Sixers just absolutely dominate. First half of game 4, they absolutely dominated. Then the second half, they just were a totally different team. I don't know if Joel Embiid's injuries actually phasing him to the extent where he was afraid to go full on it.
Full, yeah.
In that second half because he just didn't look the same. But I mean, if that can continue to occur, it's going to be tough for them to beat the Hawks.
Yeah.
If Joel Embiid's going to continue to have that injury just linger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you saw Clint Capella's comments after the last game. I think it was after game 4, but it might have been even after game 3, where he was talking about that Joel Embiid's the best center in the league until he gets tired. And then once he's tired, it's no problem.
I did not see that,
and
but that's
this exact quote.
Yeah.
So that's him and John Collins, they were talking all they gotta do is wear this guy out, keep attacking him.
Yeah.
And then they'll be fine come third quarter, fourth quarter.
And that's sort of why, I'll be honest with you, because the second half they were running and gunning.
Yep.
But that's why I'm gonna put out the one pick I have for this game tonight right now because it sort of ties into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think the game's gonna go under tonight, under the 224.5 because the Sixers are realizing they push the ball. But they also have the ability to step back and play that half-court game.
Yeah.
And the Hawks don't thrive in that.
Yeah.
So I think what the Sixers are going to try to do tonight is get back to that gritty ball where they slow the game down, they run their sets, they get open looks, and then they go back down on the defensive end and play tough defense.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, surprisingly, and maybe it's not so surprising because the Hawks played the Knicks in the first round. But the Hawks so far in the playoffs are 3-6 on the over.
On the over,
6-3 on the under.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good hit rate.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised if all those happened in that Knicks series, or the overs happened all in this Sixers series.
No, actually, now that you say that, so now I'm looking. The Knicks were 1-4.
In the over, right?
1-4 in the under.
Really?
So, yeah, it's 2-2 right now in the series for the Hawks.
For this over?
Yeah, for this series, it's been 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I think the Hawks, when I was, I think in the first round, I was I love the Hawks unders just because of the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks, it was so hard for them to score.
Yeah.
And now when you're playing against the 76ers, it's a lot easier for them to score. And that's why I guess it's 2-2. You know?
And it's just possessions in general. The Knicks slow the ball down. They take a little bit up of the shot clock, and it just equals less possessions. And then obviously the Knicks just can't fucking score in general. So
yeah, and I think to your point, the 76ers are kind of realizing if we're going to win this game, if we're going to win this series, we have to slow the game down.
Yeah.
And we have to play in those half-court sets.
Yeah.
It's also interesting, too. I was listening to someone talk the other day about, and I know you watch basketball a lot closer. You played basketball, so you understand basketball a lot better. But something I thought that was interesting to me was about how when these teams face off, they often don't start their best defensive player against your best offensive player. And then as the series goes on, or as the game goes on, you get into more like critical points, then they switch your best defensive player on the best offensive player.
Yeah.
So like in this series, you're talking about like Ben Simmons. I think the first game wasn't playing on Trae Young.
Yeah.
And then Trae Young had a good game, and then they switched Ben Simmons to him, and it's been much more manageable.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the same thing about Kawhi Leonard, about how the first game or first two games, it was Danny Green or it was someone else than Kawhi on Luka.
Yeah.
And then when they were like, all right, we're down 2-0, we gotta win these games. Then they switched Kawhi on Luka, and then they obviously, I mean, they try to slow him down. You can't really shut down some of these players.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, like, what your kind of thoughts are on that. Like, if you think that, like, why? I guess from a more of a casual viewer, like, I just don't get why you wouldn't put your best defender on the best offensive player to start the series.
Well, I think it has to do more with matchups than anything. Because, like, realistically, Ben Simmons, there's other guys that he matches up with a little bit better besides Trae Young. So I think from a defensive standpoint, like, Bogdanovich can score the ball. John Collins is a threat at some points. So what they're trying to do is just, and then also Ben Simmons is a guy that can score the ball. He's not really one of their scorers this year. You could say like one of their higher options because they haven't beat Tobias Harris has been playing well. Seth Curry can score. But I think it's more or less just to try to play their game. Like, they're looking at it, let's play our game, let's match up the way we want to match up. And then if there's a problem and Trae Young goes off, then we'll make adjustments.
Right.
You know what I mean? Ben Simmons, if they play the Sixers, you know, he should probably be matching up with KD because that just lines up accordingly.
If they play the Nets. If the Sixers play the Nets.
Did I say what did I say?
You said the Sixers.
Yeah. If they play the Nets in the next round,
then
or if they play the Bucks, he should guard their better scorer, their best player, because it's a matchup that aligns with the matchups right from the beginning.
Right. They have a little bit more size.
Exactly.
Or KD or James Harden.
And truthfully, I don't even know if like Ben Simmons is a really good defender.
Yeah.
And he gets blocks, he gets steals, but like on ball, he's not that good of a defender.
People are saying like defensive player of the year and stuff like that, and I'm just
fucking bugging.
Yeah, I don't see that at all with Ben Simmons. I feel like he just wins because of his size and speed.
That's the one.
Not necessarily skill.
That's the one award that I absolutely hate in the NBA is Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one plays fucking defense in the NBA.
That's true.
And then they also just, like, give it to the dude that has, like, the most blocks.
Yeah.
They don't even, like, look at, like, truthfully the best defender in the league. Like, who goes out there on a nightly basis and plays defense?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man-to-man, straight up, like, they just look at blocks and steals and they say, oh, he's the best defender.
And that's why and even the MVP drives me nuts a little bit too, because like most valuable player, you give it to Jokic, which I agree. Jokic had a great year and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like if I'm starting a franchise today, is Jokic really the first guy I'm taking over?
Yeah, that's another thing that it's like hard to explain that to people because I agree. Like most valuable player this year, if you just look at it, I mean, there's some other people. Did you see the thing about Donovan Mitchell getting snubbed for the first team?
No.
He wasn't on any all-NBA team.
Oh, really?
First, second, or third.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but this is just like adjacent into that off this matchup.
Yeah.
But I agree. The MVP award is just like who's the most valuable, but then they just are like who had the best year.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the way it is, it should just be like the best. They should need to change the MVP to like the
best player,
the best performed player. Like who played the best this year?
Right. Because my whole thing, exactly. The MVP, it's like if this guy goes down, whose team is going down the worst?
Exactly.
And that's why I feel like every year it should be LeBron.
With the
LeBron
statistic,
usually has a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, I mean, you take LeBron off any team he had, you've seen what happened when he left Cleveland. They ended up going. They won like 18 games the next year. Yeah. But that's the thing is, and then people just don't even.
And again, Defensive Player of the Year, it's like, who would I least want to go one-on-one against?
Exactly.
That's Kawhi and LeBron every time.
Yeah, 9 times out. Kawhi for sure.
Yeah, Kawhi for sure.
LeBron's, again, he's not even like the best on-ball defender.
Yeah.
But he plays great team defense, block shots, get steals in the passing lane and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Donovan Mitchell got snubbed, so let's go to the Jazz.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that series that's where it tailed off of. That's why I like the under. I think the game's gonna slow down a little bit tonight. But yeah, we can go right into the Jazz because Donovan Mitchell got fucked. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, which is crazy because, I mean, you just saw the impact he had on this series. Like, he didn't play game one. It was a close game.
Yeah.
But then he came out firing. And when he gets hot, he's just as good as anyone on offense. So, I mean, Utah, Los Angeles Lakers. This series is tied 2-2. Mm-hmm. This is the late games. This is 10 p.m. on TNT. The Jazz are the favorite, -8. That line's jumped a lot. I think it opened at either 2.5 or 3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think that's because of the Kawhi announcement,
and then,
though.
With Kawhi being out. Yeah, it was -2 to start.
Back to what we were just talking about, though, as far as the MVP award.
Yeah.
Who do you think deserved it this year?
The MVP? I have a tough time with it because, like, I really do believe it's, like, Giannis or LeBron every year should be in it. Because if one of those two guys go down, I mean, now that LeBron has AD, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But if Giannis goes down, the Bucks, like,
they're
are
trash.
The Bucks making the playoffs?
Yeah.
Not even a 1 or 2
Probably
seed.
not. No.
Right. You know, the 76ers, even if Embiid goes down, it's like, okay, you still have a team.
He's to that point, though, and sorry to cut you off, but he was I don't really like Embiid. I think he's a bum. Well,
40 and 16 a night's tough.
Not a bum necessarily, but he could be so much better. Yeah. And this year, though, I've seen him take those strides because I think he has a different coach.
Yep.
Doc Rivers doesn't play that shit with him. Yep. And he says, you're either going to do it the team way or you're not going to do it at all.
Yep.
And I think he deserved the MVP this year.
Yeah.
Because if you take him off that team this year, they have a team. But they ain't winning.
Make the playoffs. Yeah.
Nah, they might not. They might be an 8 seed instead of the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Because the East is obviously a little weak, and they handled the Wizards without Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
But who knows? That's just like they wouldn't get past this series without Joel. No. Without a doubt, they would have no shot. The Hawks would blow them out.
No.
But I just feel I was gonna say in my mind it was either Embiid or Curry this year. I think Curry had a deserving year.
Curry again because Clay's hurt. Like the years that Steph won it, I agree that like Steph like statistically shooting lights out, best probably to ever do it.
Yeah.
But most valuable player to me is like if he goes down, it's like their team is still you know.
And
Clay,
some of those
Draymond,
years, LeBron got robbed.
Yeah.
Like LeBron was averaging damn near triple doubles and going to the chip, and then they were just like, "Oh, give it to Curry."
Yeah, he's the lead.
This was like a deserving year of Curry. He had a terrible team. It was the leading scorer, Bradley Beal was, but he was second.
Yeah,
and he led his team to the to the playing game, which I don't know if you give much credit for that though. Now,
but still, no,
just nobody.
Absolutely nobody. Draymond is a shell of what he used to be. Wiseman it looks like he's gonna take a little time to develop.
Yep.
I mean, I like him as a prospect. I think it was smart for them to go center.
I do like him.
The big man.
Yep.
But with no Clay, the pieces that he have around him just aren't what they were a couple of years ago. Even a couple of years ago, like they had Andre Iguodala who won a Finals MVP.
Yeah, Sean Livingston
was like the sixth.
Even before KD got there. That's what I'm saying.
Before KD. Yeah. I mean, with KD, it was unreal. But so that's what's kind of tough about the whole MVP thing. You know, I
just had to get that off my chest because we got talking about it, and I felt like we had to keep going on that tape because it was, like I said, I hate the fucking Defensive Player of the Year award, and the MVP award is a washed up ass award. Like, you know who the best player in the league is. It don't matter who the fuck gets that award.
Yeah, the only award I really care about, I feel like it does justice, is Sixth Man of the Year.
That's actually earned.
That's like a legit
that's
thing.
a legitly earned award. I'll give you that
where
one for sure.
There's not too much.
And like Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year. Even Most Improved Player, it's like, all right, whatever.
Most Improved Player, fuck that shit too, because dudes improve every year.
Yeah, and it's like you just
Julius Randle.
You just go from a bad situation to a good situation, and now it's like you're most improved.
Exactly.
The same player
it's like, no, you got to a better team. Yeah. Like, you should be better.
Yeah. That's why, like, the MVP thing, I don't know necessarily. Like, now that we're talking about it a little more, like, I was always a big proponent of, like, if someone goes down, how does their team do without them? But then you're kind of basing the award around like the team that guy's on.
Yeah.
Or maybe it should be more like individual who is having just the best season.
Yeah. That's why they need to change the name, though.
If you're starting here's the other thing, too, is like if you're starting a franchise, who are you taking? Like, personally, I'm taking Giannis every time right now.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, Kevin Durant. I mean, if it's like a one season thing, yeah. Like, I'm starting.
I would take KD. Period. I don't like Giannis. I don't think he's gonna ever win a chip. He's gonna go down with no chip.
He'll be fine. I just think KD's good. I mean, he obviously played amazing last night, but injuries, age, all that stuff scare me. He's making hundreds of millions off the court, so how long is he really staying around?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what do you think about this game tonight, Clippers, Jazz?
So, I mean, the Jazz are big-time favorites now that Kawhi's out. So, Jazz are minus 8.5. Over-under's 220.5. Mm-hmm. This one had a little bit, surprised me a little bit. 60% of the bets are on the over, but 30% of the money's on the over.
Okay.
So not a lot of people are betting the under, but a lot of the money's on the under. Again, that might have been after Kawhi got hurt. People started putting in big bets on the under.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he can go for 40 or 50 a night. So.
Yeah.
And the over-under line hasn't moved that much. It's only moved 3 points, whereas the spreads moved 6 points. So.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking real quick at kind of what both these teams are doing over/under wise so far. I mean, the Clippers are 5-6 in the playoffs over/unders. The Jazz are 7-2 on the over.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. Like I said, I mean, with Mitchell, their team, they can score with anyone. I mean, I don't know if we're giving out picks right now or if we're
might as well
later, but I mean, I'm taking the Jazz tonight.
Yeah.
I think no Kawhi Leonard. I think that means Paul George has to step up. At home, right? The Clippers are home.
Yep.
Paul George is, I think, just going to crumble like he always does, especially at home.
Jazz are home.
Jazz are home, so the higher seed, right? So, yeah, that's what I thought. So, it might be a little bit of a – Paul George might have a good game, but I just think with all the pressure on him, it's just not it's not a good recipe.
Yep. I'm fading you in that one. I think the Clippers are going to come out with a little bit different of an identity tonight. Could be completely wrong because that 8 isn't a lot. That's what's sort of trapping me into it because I think it's too low. Like I think it should be a blowout if you consider Kawhi Leonard being out, who's just the alpha on the Clippers team, Yeah. But that's what's making me think, all right, I'm a little too uncomfortable with 8, so let me take the Clippers here because I hate it so much, like on some Dave Portnoy shit.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you expect it to be 12 or 13. So
yeah, like I figured it'd be double digits once Kawhi was out. But who knows? That's why I could see it going both ways. I'm leaning towards the Clippers, and that's my valued pick with that and the under and the Sixers. But I can just see it staying close somewhat if they can play defense the way I think they have the ability to.
Yeah, I think also, too, both these teams, it looks like, just from looking at the last couple of box scores, like, don't use a ton of, like, bench players. Mm-hmm. So that I'm kind of interested in if, like, with Kawhi Leonard out, like, how that kind of rotates around. Like, is Luke Kennard going to get, like, a ton of playing time now? Is Pat Beverly going to play? So they're just going to kind of go small ball with, like, him and Reggie Jackson more. Also too, just some of the players on the Clippers. I mean, obviously they're good and they're making a nice run, but like Luke Kennard and Nicholas Batum being your guys, kind of is tough. Where like they have Jordan Clarkson on the other team, 6th man of the year.
Yeah,
and I kind of fuck with Joe Ingles a little bit. So for our picks tonight, like you said, you have the under in the Hawks game. You have the Lakers or the Clippers plus 8. I'm taking the Jazz minus 8, so we're against each other on that.
Yep.
But I'm taking the Hawks plus 7.5. So it's one of those games again where I just think it's going to be close. I think these Hawks. I thought the Hawks 76ers games were going to be closer than they were. Mm-hmm. And I think the first one or two were, or the first one was.
First one was.
Then the last couple haven't been that much, but.
And then the fourth one technically was.
Yep. So I just like the points in this. I think that Atlanta. Like I said, I think in our previous podcast, I think Atlanta has just shooters so they can try to keep it close.
Yep.
I know it hasn't worked out for them every time, but and then I'm real interested to see how this Clippers game goes. So
yeah, I am too. Honestly, I'm interested on seeing how how that series plays out if Kawhi is not going to be available, because you would just assume it's just going to be a sweep for the rest of the series. But
yeah, especially because like you're saying, it's sounding like it's not going to be a one-game thing.
Nah, doesn't look like it.
Speaking of that too, I don't know if you saw like the odds for the Clippers like plummeted.
Did they?
They were like plus 500 or plus 600 to win the chip, and now like plus like 1100, plus 1200. Yeah. So.
Yep, that's tough. I think that's just proving the point of Kawhi is going to be out for. He's definitely going to be out for this series. And for one, if it was just like, I don't know, I just don't see him sitting out if it was anything that was like borderline.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
the fact that he's out means that it's like serious.
Yeah, he's not that type of guy.
Or significant.
Yeah, it's definitely it's significant enough for him to sit out. Might not be like a tear or anything, but he could have strained it, twisted it.
Yeah,
the ability that
did you see the play where it happened? Like, I didn't notice it. I don't think he came out. Did he come out of the game last game? I don't think so.
No, I think he finished it. But that's what's weird about the whole with that injury thing. It's like when Embiid fell, he was like holding his like tailbone.
Yeah, his back.
And then they say he has a torn meniscus, like a slight tear in that. And from my experience, is like that's no joke. Like,
torn meniscus,
even if it's a slight tear,
like
unless they're like going in there every day and like trying to do whatever doctors can do, I have no fucking clue. But normally, if you have a slight tear in your meniscus, you're taking a break until that shit repairs back, because you don't want it to tear any farther.
Right, and that's what's tragic, is I know they're fighting for it, and especially with the Brooklyn having their injuries, it's like, okay, like this could be our best shot. Now that Kawhi is out, now that Chris Paul's on the protocol, like this could be our best chance to do it. So I understand kind of rolling the dice. But if that big guy tears his knee, it's like he's going to miss probably all of next year.
Yeah, watch them make it to the finals, and then that shit happen like game 4 or 5. Hate to say that, but that's what happens when you push the limit on it. Like, you don't have a tear in your meniscus for no reason.
You were just thinking about the Suns, too. We haven't talked about it yet. Did you see the Suns and 4 guy, that video that's going viral?
Yeah, it's a fucking classic.
Kick the shit out of those 2 guys.
Yeah. Legendary, yes.
Absolutely legendary.
I listened to his interview today on Barstool on the Dave Portnoy show, and that shit was funny as hell. He's a classic individual.
Yeah, and like
those dudes deserved it.
And I don't know how you feel about it, but like I feel like that's the type of shit that could win you a championship. Because like Devin Booker's like reaching out, like when you're on the world, I think of it like World Series. When we're on the championship run, you need like little things like that to keep like the positive vibes going.
Yeah, everything
keep
coming
the energy
together.
Going.
Yeah,
and just kind of distracts you a little bit from like the locker room and the games and the team, and it gives you guys something to joke about. And like he was talking about trying to go to the game, try to like hang out. And stuff
he said
like
he
that.
wants to shoot around with those guys.
Yeah, like that's the type of stuff that I think, like, especially now that they have a couple off days while they wait for this Jazz series to wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Suns personally. I just don't think they've. All I'm saying is the first 2 rounds don't sell me on them just yet, because they almost lost to the Lakers until AD got hurt. They were down 2-1, and then they played a Denver team who was good, but are without essentially one of their best players.
Yeah,
and that takes a huge hit. And like I said, I'm not saying I don't believe in them. I'm just not sold on them yet. Yeah. If they come into this Western Conference Finals and even take it 6 or 7 games, if they play the Jazz or the Clippers, then I'll be sold on them, and they'll be the real deal in my eyes.
And I would be remiss to not bring up one last time before we head out for the night that Hawks, huge game for the Eastern Conference Championship future tonight.
Oh, yes.
So that's plus 1,900, plus 1,500, depending on where you took it. They're tied 2-2. They win tonight. They go back home, try to close it out.
Yeah.
So
now it's funny you say that too, because one of the guys that we're talking about bringing on, I've been talking to him, one of the handicappers. I'm not going to say any names, but he has 20 G's on the Sixers to win the championship.
To win the whole thing?
To win the whole thing. Jesus. Wins $300,000 if it hits.
Boy, oh boy.
I mean, so that's a fucking nutty bet.
Yeah, he's got I'm praying for him and Embiid then, now that I know that.
No, I mean, it's just wild. Like,
makes my $2,000 seem insignificant.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he made the bet.
Yeah.
I was going back and forth with him, and then he posted something about it, and he actually flew to Atlanta for the game 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Sitting courtside. So hopefully we have them on in the next week or so.
Yeah, that'd be great. Especially if they win, that would be electric.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah.
But either way, because then we can talk to you once the Hawks get that bad. So
that's true. So again,
who are we really talking to?
Yep, SportsBook Sports for everything. SportsBook Talks on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Give us a like, give us a rate, give us a review. We're on all the podcast stuff. Yep. So
subscribe to that shit. Like this episode.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we got the live stream going, so we'd love to have you tune in when we are live streaming. We're gonna see a lot more content from us soon. Moving to, in person, being at the sports books, doing some things with that. So we just hope you guys continue to watch and continue to support us. So
sounds good. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, look forward to it.